Devils make sneaky good signings. How do they fit? Where do they go from here is the question for general manager Tom Fitzgerald. Implications, let's break it down. Welcome, Devil fans. Glad you're here today. We want you to stick around. Hit the subscribe button as we continue into the offseason. We want you here talking all things Devils hockey. So, last season, I think it was pretty obvious, pretty fair to say, the Devils never figured out their depth center position. Obviously, you have Jack Hughes, Nico, Hischier. Maybe you can be, a little bit, cheap going on your third and fourth line center, and probably what you should do. I mean, you don't want to be giving term and millions of dollars to your third and fourth line center. But you need something. You need something there where, if you're New Jersey and you have that center duo of a Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier, you need to make the most out of it. You can't just completely blow it off and just never figure it out. I know they went out and traded for Cody Glass, but I mean, at that point, you'd already lost Jack Hughes. I mean, you were in a real bad position in terms of your center depth, and it was something that I think a lot of Devil fans were looking for to be addressed in the offseason. They had to fix that problem. And, we saw early in the offseason, they signed Thomas Bordeleau. They didn't really go after anybody else in terms of the center position, or they weren't really in the rumors around other guys at center. Maybe some wingers and that, but in terms of center, maybe not around it, but they do make some signings today. Devils have signed Kevin Rooney, Luke Glendening, Adam Scheel, and Georgi Romanov to PTOs. So when I look at this, obviously, we remember, if you don't, Kevin Rooney, former New Jersey Devil, played 70 games with Calgary last season, scored 5 goals, 5 assists. Now, when you see numbers like that, you're looking at maybe a fourth line center or, AHL. And when I'm looking at what Tom Fitzgerald has done so far this offseason and how he's tried to address this center depth, he's gotten cheap. He's gone looking for fourth line centers. He, from what it seems to think that Cody Glass is going to be the third line center. He is the third line center fix. Cody Glass has never been a third line center, permanent third line center at any point in his career. Obviously with New Jersey and all the injuries they had last season, they had guys all over the lineup. But Cody Glass being a third line center on your team, I don't think it really meshes completely well. I don't think it looks like, well, you're going out there and you feel really good about your center depth. No, you're in the same position as you were last season. You still didn't figure it out. You still don't have a point where, you feel good as a third line center. I mean, yes, do they have fourth line centers, guys who are capable of playing fourth line center? Sure. I think Cody Glass is fantastic for the fourth line. But looking at him on the third line, I don't think it looks as well. It doesn't look like, you really feel strong there. And you should feel strong. You have Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier as your 1 and 2. What is such a problem with figuring out this third line center position? They also signed Luke Glendening today. Again, fourth line center. I mean, you're getting an abundance of fourth line centers. You have a ton of players who you can fit in, put into your fourth line, and feel okay. Players who are capable of it. But clearly, they feel like Cody Glass, obviously, out of those players in between Luke Glendening, Thomas Bordeleau, just recently signing Kevin Rooney back, Cody Glass is clearly the number one center out of those centers. And he's not a third line center. So when I look at what Tom Fitzgerald has done, they're up against the cap, but they still have a big problem at center depth, especially as a third line center. They right now do not have that third line center. Now with Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, can you go even cheaper than other teams? Sure, you can, but you need somebody who can play the position, somebody you're comfortable with, familiar with, someone who's done it in the past, done it on good teams. And right now, Tom Fitzgerald, looking at this team, they don't have that. They don't have that third, fourth line center. Like, yes, are these players who, maybe play in the NHL, maybe play in the AHL, are some type of contribution to one of those, teams? Possibly, but you're not looking at what you needed You need a third line center. You didn't figure it out all of last season. You had an off season. Now I know, were there a ton available on, free agency? No, there weren't. But it's also Tom Fitzgerald's job to go find them. It's his job to go make sure that's not going to be a problem the following year. I mean, we saw with the goaltending, he doubled down on that. I mean, really bad year from the goaltenders, and he goes out and he says, well, at the deadline, we're going to go get Jake Allen, and then we're going to make a splash and go get Jacob Markstrom. It's okay, we don't need the first-round pick. We need Jacob Markstrom. So he learned from that, and he made that look a lot better. But in terms of third-line center, fourth-line center, we still don't feel comfortable there. We still don't feel like a team that is complete down the middle. And when you have Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, you do need to feel complete. But, I mean, just signing a bunch of players to PTOs, to, lesser contracts, and all are basically fourth-line centers throughout their whole entire career doesn't feel like an answer. It doesn't feel like this is a team that, can compete in the bottom six just in general. I mean, you look at the center position. Did they improve their bottom six? Absolutely. But I don't know many teams that don't have a third-line center that, look and improve in their bottom six and, are a real threat there. A real threat in terms of depth. I mean, that is a significant piece you are missing. You need to go and get somebody who is capable of playing the third line. If you don't have that, well, you're going to struggle. You can't have Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier doing all the things that the centers are supposed to do. You need some help. You need somebody to fit there. Now, could Dawson Mercer be a potential to be a third-line center? Well, look at Dawson Mercer's past 2 years. He struggled. When did he not struggle? When he's playing in the wing in the top six. And you want to get him back there. So, when you're looking at it from a perspective, did Tom Fitzgerald fill a need? No. No, they have fourth-line centers. They don't have a third-line center. They need a third-line center. It was a big problem last season. Something that probably should have been, addressed and known at the beginning of the offseason. But, hey, we're still waiting on Luke Hughes as well. So, signings that are, for the Devils, they do get some depth, but they don't fill the need, and that's what they need to do. In terms of, filling a need, obviously the AHL team really struggled last year. Utica, not a great year. So they go out, they get goaltenders. They made it pretty obvious that they don't feel comfortable with Nico Daws as a backup goaltender. They're going to move off of him. But in the AHL, he's still good, still there, but you create competition going ahead and signing 2 more goaltenders. Not a bad year with the Barracuda last year for Romanov. Was able to play in those games, be able to, be a factor. Probably gives Nico Daws, another goaltender who maybe could potentially become a starter. Obviously they lost Isaac Poulter. So I think these are more of AHL signings that, they're doing with that. But, all in all, though, Devils, the type of signings that they made, it's more so that they got depth, they got players who look more so in the AHL category, but you're still looking for that third-line center. You knew it was a need. Tom Fitzgerald did not fill a need. He has to go find a third-line center. In terms of, getting depth, getting guys, for cheap, yeah, it's great, but if you're not filling your need, what you need the most, how much does it really mean? These type of signings feel like they're going to create some fourth-line center disruption. I think Cody Glass is clearly the fourth-line center. If you can play him, that's where you want to play him. But if he's going to play third-line center, now it's, really kind of getting jumbled up to play fourth line. There is potential at the fourth-line center, but, your third-line center is still a problem, still an issue. Let me know it in the comments. How do you feel Tom Fitzgerald has handled the situation of depth center? Do you like it? Do you like these cheap signings, or do you want to see him go out and get someone who, we've seen be a third-line center, be a good third-line center in this league? Let me know down in the comments, and I'll see you guys all really soon.